You've completed the first draft of your story. Congratulations. What now? This episode is all about drafting and what you need to do when you're done with that first draft, and what to do with your second draft and possibly beyond that. Now that you've completed the first draft, you've accomplished one of the most difficult things any writer can do. Now what? Well, you take that draft and put it away for a little while. Every author says something different. Some say 3 to 6 months. Others may say even longer. I personally wait about 2 weeks to a month. Some may not take any time at all. I believe that it is necessary to take time away from your first draft because it's currently fresh in your mind, and you'll be too close to the story to really make any big changes. When you go back to your story and read it and prepare for that second draft, you'll need to go in with fresh eyes. That way you can be critical of the story and find what areas need the most work. This will be a long process. Whenever you finish that first draft, I realized that this draft has a lot of great ideas that I want to get out in the story, but it's actually really incomplete. I need more time to make the world, characters, and story better. So, what do? Step 1. Read the first draft. After you've taken time away from it to just distance yourself a little bit and kind of forget the story, forget a few details, and go in with fresh eyes, you could print it out and physically read it, or just keep it on your computer. I suggest going through it, and when you get to an area where you have notes, use a pen and paper to write notes and things that you want to improve. This will slow down your thoughts and help you get the right ideas down. It could take a while to get through the first draft, especially if you're taking a lot of notes, but working towards and writing the second draft could be the most important part. You'll probably see the most significant changes between the first and second drafts. At least that's my experience. Step 2. Kill your darlings. You'll probably feel a great sense of ownership over your story and every part of it. Characters, world building, scenes, and anything else you wrote. I know it's hard, but there will be sections that you will need to cut. Parts that just don't fit or need to be reworked entirely. Be prepared to look over your story with critical eyes and ask yourself with each section and see if it is necessary. Does it work with the story you're trying to tell? Each section of dialogue, character action, and piece of the story should be working towards your story's goal and themes. If it doesn't contribute to the story you're trying to tell, then you should cut it. Step 3. Second draft blues. After reading the first draft and taking all your notes, you may feel depressed. You may feel that the story is too broken to be fixed. That's completely normal. The goal of the first draft is to get the story out of your mind. It isn't bad. Your stories and the story itself just aren't fully fleshed out yet. Now is the time to put the pieces together and turn that broken mess that is your first draft into a cohesive story. That's why I mentioned that it may feel like the changes from the first draft and the second draft will feel like the most significant. You're developing the story into what your original vision of it was. It may feel painful, but you're getting there. Step 4, don't give up. You may feel like giving up, but please don't do that. You're just about to make a breakthrough with your second draft. Work on this. Follow the other steps and keep going. If you're giving up now, all of the hard work you put in will be made useless. If you are too discouraged, I'd suggest taking a break. You might want to step back and find the story that you're trying to tell. This may feel like you're putting it back and just not going back to it, but if in the end you're working towards a good story and the story that you want to tell, then it will help you in the long run. Step 5, repeat. Read your first draft. Kill your darlings. Feel sad when your story isn't what you want it to be. But don't give up. Writing the next draft and continuing to work on your story is a continuous process. Be prepared to repeat all of the steps in this process. Also, be prepared to find steps that I never even mentioned. There are so many moving parts to creating a great story. Just be prepared to work hard and take a lot of time on your story. Step 6, editors. I'm not going to go over all the editing that needs to be done, but just the basics for now. I'd suggest getting 3 drafts done before you sending your story to an editor. That way you've gone through the story many times and have turned it into something resembling what you envision the story to be. When you feel comfortable with your story, send it out. Just know that no matter how many times you've gone through your book, There will be a lot of mistakes and spots you've missed. Be prepared for the editor to send back a bloody corpse that is your story. Step 7. Drafting again. Once you have the story back from your editor, you'll start working on the next draft. You may feel discouraged about all the edits from the editor, but these are opportunities to help you improve. I'm coming at this from a self-publishing perspective, so when it comes to the editor's notes, just know that in the end, it's still your choice how your story is worded, how it's formatted, all that stuff. You are paying for a professional opinion, but it is your story. Be humble enough and open to the ideas of change, but if you feel that the way you word things or certain words help your story, then keep them in. The editor is there to help you, to guide you, but in the end, like I said, it is your story. But just know that you are spending a lot of money on an editor, or you should be because you want a professional opinion. So it may take a lot of edits and a lot of time to really understand why the editor did what they did. Step 8. Editors again. Now that you've finished another, maybe 2 or 3 more drafts of your story, it is back to the editors. If you want a professional quality book, then this is non-negotiable. Readers know when a line or a story just doesn't quite line up. It could take multiple rounds of edits to make your story the best that it can be. Step 9. It never ends. This process of drafting could be longer or shorter depending on your level of skill. I've seen many self-published books that have never even hired an editor, and they do not do very well. I'm not promising that if you hire an editor, your book will sell more copies, but readers and publishers know the difference between a well-written, edited draft and a book that wasn't worked on very much. This process will be a bit different for each writer due to the nature of our stories being different. Take the time to make your story the best that it can be. Once your story is out there and people start buying it, unless it's just electronically published, that book can't be changed. Be as happy with it as you can, then publish it. This is something that I apply to my stories when I think about wanting to publish them. A delayed game is eventually good. A rushed game is bad forever.